Right. My name is Alexei. I work at a company called Playad Media Group. And what we do is we actually work with point number 7, online video, that the previous lecturer has touched upon. And basically our main idea is that we help advertisers to reach their potential target group with their commercial but online. And in order for us to succeed with that, technology is not my it's like the reverse. And in order for us to succeed with that, we also must make sure that the online video itself evolves and develops. And we are a Nordic company, but we basically have our headquarters in Sweden. So I'm going to talk a bit about the future of online video, but from a kind of a local perspective rather than a global perspective. A lot of conversation going on about the new video landscape. And in each and every one of those discussions, we kind of touch upon a sensitive topic, the death of traditional TV. And I don't know if death is a very strong word in this discussion, but we can basically state that if you look at traditional TV as media and put it in a kind of a product life cycle, we can state that the top was reached, at least in Sweden, and I think in the Nordics, around 2012, 2013, both in the consumption, the viewing time, and also in the amount of advertising money that was pumped into this area. So we're going to see a decline from now on, and we have seen this for a couple of years. And this will not just drop down and all the TV are going to turn black, but we're going to see a decline in the viewing and in the amount of money that advertisers are willing to put into that media. And in order for us not to just make things up, we ourselves do a yearly survey together with a company called Initio, which does this kind of surveys and focusing on media. And here we can see what people themselves have estimated their consumption of both linear TV and what we call rörligt online, which is all forms of different online video consumption. So we can see a trend that is actually supporting the major theory that the traditional TV viewing is going down with 4 minutes, but it's all compensated with growth in the consumption of web TV or online video, which is growing with 6 minutes per day consumption. So overall kind of netto growth of 2 minutes. And there's probably a lot of TV experts in the public that would say, well, wait a second, the 59 and 55 minutes, these are far from what MMS usually states as a daily consumption of TV. Yes, and of course the methodological explanation to that, because this is what people themselves estimate as their active consumption of media. MMS is a people meter, it's a technical method which actually measures when TV is on. This is not the active consumption. And it's the same base, it's the same kind of sort of evaluation going on. So people kind of evaluate their consumption in the same manner. And of course the why it's happening is because a lot of things, but the most important, and I think we've talked a bit about this today, is that there is more and more content, video content that is produced for online consumption. And it's just not only YouTube with the influencers or the people who are sort of expressing themselves. All the sort of the old traditional media are now, trying to enter the online video market. All the newspapers, the magazines, they're not only in the print world or only with their website. They all want to produce video content. And of course, there's more distribution platforms for that. I mean, nobody thinks of Facebook as a web TV or online video platform, spontaneously, but that's what it is. I mean, nobody enters Facebook to watch some web TV, but without any possibility to avoid, unavoidably, you kind of get to watch this and the other video. So the reach, of course, of online video grows exponentially when more and more Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, what have you. And of course, it's the overall technical development. The broadband connections are getting better and cheaper, and the devices, the screens are getting better and cheaper. And I mean, every kid from 5 and on has a smartphone. And I mean, think about it. Smartphones are only not even 10 years old. I mean, iPhone, I think it came, 2007 it was released? So it's not even 10 years. But now everybody has one, even the kids. So of course the potential reach for online video is growing with that as well. Previously nobody could carry a TV screen with them. It would be strange kind of. And people realize that the on-demand viewing is actually quite comfortable. You don't have to watch and sit and follow a TV schedule and mark like you probably did in the old days with a marker pen. Oh, I'm going to watch this program tonight. At least I did. I was a bit nerdy, but anyways. And the on-demand viewing is, of course, creating new viewing times in terms that people are not only watching video, home in the sofa with popcorn and a beer and feet on the table. People actually watch video all the day. And I have some slides about that later on. But already today we have target groups or groups of people that already have their consumption screwed sort of towards the online video. And of course, the younger ones, the sort of traditional 15-34 target group, is already consuming more online video than TV. So it's the other way around, so to say, compared to the total population. But in the quite interesting for advertisers target group 25 to 44, which is like your basic target group for mostly every product, the consumption is already today on the same level for both TV and online video. 47 minutes about. And this is like a simple kind of a future outlook. If we have the numbers for 2014 and 2015, and we sort of assume that it will go in the same kind of tempo, already in 2017, which is basically next year, we're going to have a situation where the consumption of TV and web TV in the whole population will be on the same level, or the consumption as people kind of appreciate it themselves. And here's another question we asked in our survey. We asked, actually about the future. We asked, are you going to watch more TV or less TV next year? Or are you going to watch more online video or less online video next year? And there is 9% of the Swedish population that actually say, I'm going to watch more TV next year. And which was this was done in 2015, so they are probably referring to 2016. I don't know, maybe some people thought, okay, there is Olympics and there is the football championship. Of course, I'm going to watch more TV. And basically, these kind of big sports events that you consume live, that these are only sort of things that are still kind of, going strong on traditional TV. But at the same time, we have around 20% of the population that say, no, I'm going to watch less of the traditional TV. It's not for me anymore. And of course, a very clear indication that more than half of the population know that their consumption is about to change or is changing right now and half of the population say that I'm going to watch more of the online video. Now, here's just a remark on the, this whole term definition thing. What is web TV? I mean, probably spontaneously, people think, well, web TV is what you consume on TV channels, kind of web services, the TV thing. But in order for this survey to be as, clear as possible, we actually, in the whole questioning thing, have exemplified and help people to understand that web TV is not only on the TV web, it's the TV that you consume on the newspaper sites, it's the YouTube, Netflix, international sites, so that people would understand it's not only the one or another kind of platform that they have in their head. And it also actually has the sort of the Facebook kind of in this question. Right. And the viewing time, that was one thing, but the daily reach, of course, is also another classic kind of metrics that you look upon when you talk, media. Last year, it was about 37% of the population that said that they consume online video daily on one of those sort of platforms that I've mentioned, and it grew to around 48% of the population. And well, you could think, well, it's actually, is it much or little? I mean, how do you refer to it? I mean, I think probably this number is a bit higher because people, again, sometimes don't even realize they watch online video or they consume online video because it happens kind of unplanned. We're talking about a term, media snacking, which means that people are kind of without actually making too much of a decision about it, consuming online video all the time. You got a mail from your colleague, or look at this cat video, or you go to a Instagram and get exposed to something sort of online video-ish. So well, this is what people kind of think they do. And of course, as I said, the reach of online video today happens not only, or the consumption happens not only at home during the evening time, where you sort of watch long form and you kind of relaxed and you tend to do it in the same kind of manner that you consumed your traditional TV before. A lot of viewing is now happens here, which we call sort of out of home TV viewing or out of home online video viewing, and it is actually quite different types of platforms that are dominant during the evening, because here you have your long form, your TV channels, Netflix. It's a kind of a bit of planned viewing. It's on demand, but you kind of plan it. Here is basically media snacking, your unplanned, spontaneous consumption of clips and news and all the different types of information that just sort of pops up in your way. This is very much unplanned. And it happens, all the time during the day. So we actually were quite interested and asked people, when do you actually tend to consume online video? Is it only during the evening, or is it in which situations do you actually tend to consume online video? And of course, well, the majority said, well, yeah, 90% they do it during the evening, but there's also all those different types and situations during the day where people tend to consume online video. And 1/4 of the population does it during the morning instead of your morning TV, but you kind of get updated with the news on your local newspaper or your probably like an TV4 Play kind of thing, maybe, but online. Traveling, the more time you spend traveling, of course, the more you consume. So 16% of the population consume online video while traveling. 16% tend to do it during work time. And of course, the media industry in Sweden is not 16% of the population, so we have a lot of people who are not supposed to do it, but they still do it. And it's a kind of a big social problem. No, it's not, I'm just kidding. It's all has to do, it's all good. So, and in different kind of, natural breaks, if it's like coffee break at work, or between lectures, between once you you put your kids to sleep, of course, a lot of people, get their device out and start consuming. So overall, you have a potential of, reaching 60% of the population during times or situations which is not home in sofa, which is new. It wasn't there like a couple of years ago. And what happens? I mean, this is a chart where I try to kind of to map out the groups of online video platforms that you have in Sweden, and the size of the square is about how many of the advertisers' money go into those different actors. And this is like an estimate, of course. There is no official information about that. I think what happens if you look at the nearest future, of course, that more and more platforms will join this very lucrative market, and even Spotify was like one of the latest ones to announce that they will do that. And this will, of course, this is like a good thing overall, because competition is good and everybody welcomes it. But I think what's important, from the local perspective, we have this kind of group of publishers here, local publishers, with Aftonbladet and Expressen being the biggest ones. But then you have all those smaller ones, and this is like the local publishing houses, which are very strong locally, and they're trying to readjust their offer. They're trying to kind of make themselves useful in this new environment. But of course, once the more and more of the huge international actors come into this picture, they're going to be exposed to more and more competition. And these have a function, these are not about so much of entertainment. This has a social function, because these are journalists. These are the papers that have been supporting this whole democratic freedom of speech and freedom of and access to information before internet. And I think it's very important for us that work in this whole industry to make sure that the amount of newspapers and publishing houses that we have in Sweden, that we keep that in some way, that they're not being kicked out of business, and that their online video attempts, are not going down the drain, because I think this has an important, function for the society as a whole. Just kind of a tankeställare, a thought stand. All right, but of course. This whole change that's going on in the industry, it's also has impact on the what has to happen with the commercial, this 30-second spot, the classic. And here we have I don't know if you've seen it before.
America runs on Bulova time.
This is like the first commercial ever. It has been aired in United States in 1941. So yeah, a lot of things happened since then. But in Sweden, it took another almost 50 years before the commercials, came to the TV screen. And now, 20 years later, we're talking about the death of TV, and does that mean that that it's also death of commercial film? Well, not really. I think on the contrary, you know, the commercial itself is kind of a living in if you put that into the same kind of a product life cycle, in the very strong expanding kind of a area where this whole 70 years of TV has been a, you know, long introduction phase. But this is not when we have the growth of the commercial film itself. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of how a commercial film online can evolve and actually, you know, fill its purposes. And one of them is with so-called personalization or micro-targeting, where you actually, whereas previously on TV you had one commercial that would, you know, be seen by millions of people, here you have a possibility to produce, you know, a single commercial for a single person. That means that you actually adapt your commercial in real life. And this is going to show not the best example, but like a very kind of a clear example of how it could look.
Hey, Danny, did you know that in January you sent 284 text messages costing you 17 euros and 20 cents? By joining our unlimited text package for only 11 euros a month, you can save 6 euros and 20 cents every month. So what are you waiting for? Click here to sign up, or simply text unlimited to 2727.
All the data that is, you know, has been showed in this commercial, you know, actually is about this person who is viewing the commercial. So all Danny, the name, and all how much he spent on telecom, it's all has been sort of in real time kind of extracted and put in this commercial. So it's, you have a one-on-one communication rather than one-to-many communication. This is a good example from the Swedish advertiser, where you actually have a commercial that you are able to kind of play with in a kind of thoughtful manner. And this is a very quite a boring product. It's about retirement funds. But here, I don't have the sound here. But anyway, so here you could actually yourself move the layer of this commercial, so you can see, you know, two different kind of versions of the same commercial being played, one good one and one kind of a slightly darker development of what could happen in the future. So this could actually, this quite effectful, where you can actually see that, okay, well, you know, if you put your money into SPP, you probably will end up here and not, you know, like that. But it brings, you know, interaction. Storytelling is about, you know, how you get away from this linear kind of structure, you know, set up confrontation and resolution, where you build in multiple endings, where depending on how people, what people do and how they click on in the movie, that you know, you could have different endings, and you can actually spend much more time with this commercial rather than it's, you know, set to 30 or 40 or 50 seconds. And here is just an example of what we did with Channel 5 Discovery program, Philip and Fredrik, where people could kind of choose, you know, which country they go to and who they meet. So it's, you know, an endless kind of footage material in this commercial. So it's all about how people, you know, interact with this commercial and where they, how much of the sort of information they want to consume. If you don't have the sort of the opportunity to, you know, in good time plan this kind of production, quite an easy way of doing it would be that you kind of build out your commercial with the opportunity to, you know, in real time kind of you know, go and buy stuff, basically. This is what we did with IKEA, so we're, you know, once they take a product in the sort of in the film, we highlighted the price, buy online, done. Quite an easy and effective way. And of course, the so-called, you know, classic 360 virtual reality. This is what we've done actually in our office, you know, with the simple Google box, where you can actually kind of, you know, yeah, it makes you kind of dizzy. But I mean, this is not a commercial, but it could easily be a commercial for Gröna Lund or Liseberg, where you actually kind of get inside that world and you know, try to, you know, get to experience stuff in a much more efficient way, so to say. So basically, it's all about this. Tell me and I forget, show me and I remember, involve me and I understand. And this is what the commercial film today should do in the online environment. This is the job that the commercial should do in the year 2016. Thank you.